Welcome to the chat, everyone. We're back with the segment Prime on Prime. And if you're like me, sometimes I want to get scared a little bit. Love horror films, love my TV series, the supernatural drama. And these are my top five. Top five now that the Halloween season is around the corner. I thought that it might be fun to talk about some of my top five series on Prime that are free to watch and binge. So, yeah, supernatural genre. Quick reminder, if you do enjoy the content, please like and subscribe to the channel. The analytics are showing that most of you watching my videos are not subscribed. Grimm, that is my number five. Right? The Grimm series came out in 2011 and run through 2017, and it blends a police procedural drama with supernatural elements, and it centers around Nick, who is a detective in the city of Portland, who discovers that he's a Grimm, and he's guardian to task with keeping humanity safe from mythological creatures. And the show does create a very creatively explores the folklore of monsters in a very modern day setting. The character dynamics, the character relationships, especially between Nick and his partner Hank, it does add an emotional depth to it. And the series also gives a strong arcs to the supporting characters like Moreau and Rosalie. They do get involved in the dailies activities of keeping the Nick's world feel meaningful. Number four, I Know What You Did Last Summer, right? So this series is the TV adaptation of the popular 1997 film which was based out of the novel, Louis Duncan's novel, right? And it just follows a group of teenagers who are stalked by a mysterious killer 1 year after the fatal accident. So it's set in a modern day context, and it does feels fresh. The familiar slasher genre at that time when that movie came out did pretty good. So and they came out with this series, and right now it is free to watch. Right. So a couple of the good things about it is the dark tone of the series. It's a little bit darker than what we were expecting. The series does updates on the original story, and it has more layer to the mysteries and the plot twist. Number three on my list is The Bates Motel. So Bates Motel ran from 2013 to 2017. It's a psychological horror thriller that it's kind of a prequel to the Alfred Hitchcock Psycho, and it does explore the troubled relationship between Norman Bates and his mother Norma, and this is the events that lead Norman into the descent into his madness, right? So you all know Psycho. I mean, not hopefully everyone knows Psycho, and if you don't, please do watch it. It is a classic. And a couple of good things about the show is, I mean, the performances, the very talented Freddie Highmore as Norman Bates and Vera Farmiga as Norman Bates. Their nuanced performances bring complex and emotional depth to the twisted relationship. It draws viewers into a psychological tension between mother and son. It's pretty scary. I think you guys should absolutely give it a shot. All right, so we are in the top two, almost at the end of it, folks. Just bear with me. At number two, we do have The Living Dead. The Living and the Dead. Okay, so The Living and the Dead is a British supernatural horror series set in the 19th century, and it follows Nathan Appleby, psychologist who returns to his rural family estate and confronts a supernatural and strange occurrences and ghostly presence. Right, this series it mixes gothic horror with psychological intrigue, and it does create a very haunting atmosphere. So, the good things about it is that it's a British show, right? And being coming from the U.S., the Latin community, it's refreshing to see how they do how the atmospheric and cinematography differs from the shows here in the U.S. It does excels in creating a visually stunning rural landscape, the natural lighting, the countryside. Performances, very strong performances by Colin Morgan. He delivers an intense portrayal of the psychologist, and it captures the complexity, how complex a man who is both a man of science, ration, and emotions. Check it out. It blends horror and historical drama masterfully. It mixes traditional ghost story elements and psychological scientific curiosity of the time. So, but I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. The fact that we get to see this, right? And you guys get to enjoy it. You're more than welcome to watch them both series. One of them, it's actually from the UK, and the other is from here in the United States. So the original series aired in the UK, and then in 2011, the US came out and also developed their own horror series about being human. Both shows centers on the three supernatural roommates. One of them is a vampire, a werewolf, and a ghost, and they try to live ordinary lives with their paranormal nature. Right? Notable differences in the tone, the characters dynamic, and how the narrative between the UK and the US version, right? The UK version tone and style is darker and more introspective, with a focus on how they struggle with the moral dilemmas. The tone is more understated, and it explores the characters' attempt to maintain their humanity while dealing with their supernatural nature. The chemistry, the chemistry between the three characters, Mitch as a vampire, George as a werewolf, and Annie as a ghost, is the one of the strongest point. The relationship feels authentic, and with a very again, British mix of humor and the tension that grounds the supernatural storylines. Very relatable with human emotions. In the other hand, being human in the U.S., the tone is it's polished. It's a little bit more polished and accessible. It has a more accessible approach with a much faster pace. I'm not sure why they went that route. It's got a much lower, glossier production style, and it does focus more on action and relationship drama. The characters dynamics, it does keeps its concept. I think you guys are gonna enjoy it. It's Aiden, the vampire, Josh is the werewolf, and Sally is the ghost, and they're more emotionally expressive, and very straightforward when it comes to the character arcs. Right, the relationship most of the time those focus on romantic affairs and external threats. The US version takes more liberties when it comes down to the supernatural mythology, and it does expand on that. There's a few new characters added that were not in the UK series, and sometimes that's why it feels that it feels like a little bit diluted, and it kind of loses that intimate focus than the original UK series. So, yeah, that's my list. Number 5, Grimm. Number 4, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Number 3, The Bates Motel. Number 2, The Living and the Dead. And number 1, Being Human, with both being available to binge and watch in Prime and Amazon Prime. So, if you do have a preference on where they ranked, please do join the conversation and let me know what you think.